A jam-packed League One Saturday, and right here in Greenville, South Carolina, we've got the Triumph and South Georgia Tormenta FC presented by ScanSource here on ESPN+. Welcome one and all to this broadcast. My name is Mark Schoenstar, alongside me, Ross Davenport. Round 2 of the Peach States Derby here this season. Of course, a long-time rivalry between these two sides as we see where they sit in the Hopkins Eye Center standings. Ross, both teams sort of in the middle of the pack right now.
Yeah, it's been roller coaster seasons for both these sides in little different fashions, but yeah, hanging out in the middle. But listen, things are tightened up a bit here. Mark, 4 points separating third and ninth at the moment.
As it's tight as League One likes to be a lot of the time. Let's take a look at Devin Boyce, who played against his former side last weekend. Or sorry, it was 10 days ago.
It was.
But what a performance it was in that one.
Yeah, he played more of a central role than his normal wing spot in his return to Warner Park. Assisted on that first corner on Leo Castro's headed goal. He rose like a salmon, nodded home, then got this cheeky Panenka penalty.
A goal and an assist. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tormenta. They have been oh so good against the Greenville Triumph these past 2 years. Pretty much any time they've played, it's been a positive result.
They've only lost 5 of 16 matches against the Triumph in their history. Last of those defeats coming more than 2 years ago. Mark, they've won 7 of the last 8, outscoring Greenville 22-10 during that span, and half of those Triumph goals came in that crazy 5-5 draw you did last July.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see if we've got some craziness like that here today. I wouldn't expect that or anticipate that, but maybe that would be the case. With that in mind, there's only one way to find out what will take place in 90 minutes, and that is to stick around here after this break. We'll have lineups and kickoff right here on ESPN+.
It's not about building a home in just 30 hours for a deserving family with Habitat for Humanity, or about building homes for a national television competition. It's about building memorable experiences with our community, team members, and trade partners that will last for a lifetime. Hunter Quinn Homes, building the difference.
We offer a full array of dental treatment, and what that provides you as a patient is you're able to come to one place and get comprehensive care under one roof.
I've always been greeted with a smile. They know me when I call. I trust them.
We'd love to see you at Wood Creek Dental. Visit us at woodcreekdental.com.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us, because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
Today's USL League One broadcast is presented by ScanSource, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph. As we welcome you back here for Fiesta de Football, or the Hispanic Heritage Night for the Greenville Triumph, as they host South Georgia Tormenta FC here on ESPN+. It's the second meeting between these two sides this season. Let's take it all the way back to early April. The first matchup between these two. Not as quite a pleasant day when they met in Statesboro, a rainy affair. And then the rain came down poorly for Joe Mazzola to get things started here.
Yeah, poor giveaway there. Listen, Tormenta made plenty of off-season changes, but the result's still the same here, as Tormenta would pick up the 2-0 win over Greenville. Jackson Corey, the prodigious Aussie, scoring the first goal. Then he would turn provider here on the second goal after some lovely work by Mukwele Akale.
It was 2 goals in the first half that solidified the 2-0 victory for South Georgia Tormenta. Pedro Fonseca putting it home in the 39th minute, and they would end up holding on to this advantage for the rest of the matchup. As we take a look at our starting lineup, starting with the home side. This lineup brought to you by Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System. 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, depending on how you want to look at it. But the big one to highlight is Devin Boyce sitting in the middle of the pitch again.
He is, and also only 5 players on the bench. Just when we thought Greenville were getting a little healthy, they're having some more injury trouble again. Coutinho out, Shaw out. Benton Evans comes in for his first start since the second game of the season. That was against Tormenta. He led the team on that day with 3 shots.
Pivoting over to Ian Cameron side. Once again, the starting lineups brought to you by Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System. He'll be trotting out something of the 4-4-2 variety.
Yeah, a couple of changes for Ian Cameron. Pablo Hara takes a seat. TJ Bush comes in, obviously a very capable backup. And then Preston Kilwine, injured right now. He comes in. He's replaced by Deshaun Nembard at the center back spot. He can play all across the back line, can Deshaun.
He's been filling into that center back spot when they've needed him to this season. Up to this point, that pair between Otieno and Heckenberg in the middle has been stellar so far this season, and they'll be looking for that stability here today as Beauchois and Sterling have time to develop their tandem up top, with Sterling finally getting his first start of the year last weekend. It'll be the Triumph going right to left, Tormenta left to right to start things off. Our head official, John Motto, will get things going for us. And we are underway. Round 2 of Tormenta Greenville.
Yeah, 2 teams in need of a win here, Mark. Only 1 win in the last 5 in all competitions for both these teams. An up and down season. Tormenta, win loss, it seems for the people since the back in April. Greenville have obviously had that real rough patch to start with. Then went on a little good run, but now a bit of a rough patch. A nice 3-3 draw, nice comeback against Omaha 10 days ago. Should be fully rested for this one, Mark. This is a matchup to watch, by the way. Get to that in a second.
Ball still in play. Somehow did not go out the goal line. Mukwele Akale puts his laces through it, but doesn't get very far because Devin Boyce is there.
Yeah, Jackson Curry, what a rookie season he's had so far on that left wing for Tormenta, going up against Daniel Wu tonight. Normally a center back, being forced into right back duty tonight. Tevin Shaw out. Nate Schultz on the bench, perhaps not healthy. Maybe it was a tactical decision by John Harks, but certainly a matchup to keep an eye on. Hassan Gabo also not in the 18 tonight. Fullback option for John Harks.
Very interesting to think about. Daniel Wu, a rookie professionally, but has 2 years on Jackson Curry. Curry just at 20 years old. Has been a staple to start in this early season for Tormenta. Mentioned a lot of rest for the Greenville Triumph coming into this one. Last time they played, an exciting 3-3 draw on the road at Werner Park against Union Omaha. John Harks said that he felt they conceded too easily in that game. They let Noe Meza get into open spots, and they know what kind of danger Noe Meza creates, so he's a little bit disappointed that that was what ended up taking place in that matchup. But on the positive side of things, he mentioned that Boyce was a driving force in the game. A fantastic goal from Jacob Lavovitz. Didn't win goal of the week, and John Harks took some offense to that one.
And understandably so. Those soccer purists among us will understand how much Coley was involved in that goal, not even just from the pass and the finish. It was a beautiful goal from start to finish. Especially in the situation to tie things up.
Yeah. As It's been a difference with this Greenville Triumph team this year. Always so stout defensively. John Hark said that we want to get back to clean sheets. We've been conceding too many this year.
There's been a few too many individual mistakes.
Here come Tormenta now. Otieno dishes it out to Akale. Mukwele Akale, he's so shifty. And that one goes off of Keziah Sterling and wide.
Yeah, that's another one, another matchup to watch tonight. Akale against Tyler Pollock. Akale with the speed there made the veteran look a little static.
He's always slippery with the ball at his feet, Mukwele Akale.
Yeah, one of the best dribblers in the league, no doubt.
So Jared Mazzola will get things back underway here.
This is part of the reason why the Triumph have struggled so much over the last couple of years against Tormenta. It's just these quick, shifty dribblers against a veteran. I'm not going to call them unathletic, Mike, but we do hear coaches say, hey, they're certainly a back four that we can get at with that speed and dribbling and get them turning and going back towards their own goal, backpedaling, etc. And we saw it there with Akale, making easy work of Tyler Pollock. Certainly have to keep an eye on both wings tonight.
It was a home game against the Richmond Kickers last weekend for Tormenta, a 1-1 draw. As this one goes over the top. Curry plays it centrally, and it's dished away by Tyler Pollock. They'll keep at it here. Another ball swinging inside. Skips once, Akoto with a touch, and that one deflects off Pollock and out.
This is a concerning start for Greenville, Mark. Just far too many Tormenta players in dangerous open positions here in the first 4.5 minutes. Not sure how Jackson Curry was so wide open there. Daniel Wu lost track of him a little bit. One thing John Harks has really talked about Greenville and wanting to do more is getting behind. Like that ball there to Curry. Tormenta showing they can do it early.
Corner swings in, headed down wide open with that one. Ricochets off the turf. Tormenta will retain possession here. Akale sends it back in. Looked like that came off of Castro.
Yeah, he wanted a handball. Didn't get it from referee Mato.
It was the second matchup against the Kickers this year for Tormenta, both of which were at home. The first one, I believe they lost 3-1. So obviously an improvement in result. I asked Ian Cameron what were the actual differences between the two games that he saw on the pitch, and he said the details were better from us. We were more compact, better on set pieces, though they did concede that goal off the corner kick. Mentioned that Richmond's a good team, and that this Tormenta side's had a lot of progress the past few weeks. He mentioned not just in back between the two Richmond games, but also in every match, including that loss to Central Valley Fuego on the road.
Listen, having Keziah Sterling back helps, right? Even if
Yeah.
I'm not sure what his fitness status is. Obviously, it's going to take him a few games to get back to full 90-minute fitness, but just having him on the pitch is someone you have to keep a very close eye on. That opens things up for the likes of Akale and Curry and those guys making those runs from midfield.
There's Sterling now, and that one thudding off a defender. Out for a throw. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL League One and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select the player's choice.
So Venton Evans on the ball, as you mentioned, pre-game, his first start in a while. Been dealing with some off-the-field personal issues. Hasn't been able to get in that starting lineup. He's obviously someone who can get forward.
Slipping ball through for Akale. It'll be another corner kick, that one coming off of Evan Lee. Tormenta right now just having their way in this attacking third. Finding a lot of free players inside the 18. Their second corner kick. Low driving ball, the header Goes over top.
See Greenville with a sort of zonal corner kick defending mark. Changed it up a little bit for John Harkes. He's been frustrated both with the goals being given up on set pieces and the lack of set pieces. There have been goals coming from Greenville, but they've been getting better. It's an interesting little setup there with the 3 guys on the edge of the 6-yard box looking to pick up the runners. It didn't happen that time. That was a chance.
So that one will deflect out, and Greenville will look to see if they can hold possession for a bit of time here. See if they can hold it up that middle. Devin Boyce, as we mentioned in the lineups, has been playing out wide for most of his stint here in Greenville, but got to play centrally, not an unfamiliar spot for him.
He's one of those guys when you watch him play, Mark, you almost want to see him get in the mix, right? Because when he does, he obviously gets involved from that wing. He'll come in and help out. You almost want to see him in the middle and getting involved as much as he really can with that energy and that engine.
Yeah, just always going. And there he is on the ball now. And whether this was something that John Harkes had in mind to try at some point in the year, right now it's birthed out of necessity with the absence of Aaron Walker and Tevin Shaw. John Harkes is saying we're asking him to establish a sort of rapport with Noah Pilato in the center. He has the energy. Now it's just about honing that energy and knowing when to utilize it, because he's always willing to run in. As Heckenberg moves forward, Heckenberg slips it through to Akale! And Tormenta will not get the goal because the flag has gone up.
He just waited a split second too long to make that pass. As a result, probably Akale offside, but that's how they can cut you open in a heartbeat, Tormenta. That pace around the back. Poor sloppy giveaway there. Perhaps could have been a foul on Tevin Shaw. Yeah, he was just on the other side of Tyler Polak. Right call there from the linesman, but another thing to worry about for Greenville. They're lucky not to be down 1-0 already, Mark, even with not including that offside decision.
It has been all Tormenta, yes. One-way traffic, and that traffic has taken place very much right in front of the mouth of goal.
Evan Lee there, back in the starting lineup after coming off the bench the last 2 games.
Always has the willingness and the energy to make things happen, Devin Boyce. And John Harkes was talking about how he needs to maybe learn to know when to pick his battles.
Obviously keep you abreast of all the other action going on. As full a slate as you can, Mark, tonight in League One. 6 games. We already have one completed. Charlotte with a comprehensive 3-0 win over Union Omaha.
Isaiah Sterling was the one down moments ago, but he seems to be walking it off.
Devin Boyce may have got a yellow card on that foul. I thought they were going to give it. He played advantage.
Sventon Evans on the left-hand side. And he gets that one to ricochet off of Nick Akoto. So it'll be a corner kick for the Greenville Triumph, PNC's Corner for Kids.
Devin Boyce racking up the yellow cards, Mark. Was that 6 now?
It would be 6.
A couple away from a suspension already. We talked to John Harkes about him trying to rein in that intensity, right? And as you said, Mark, pick his spots. Try not to get as many cards as he has.
Headed upward and out there. But right back into the mixer. It's bobbled by Bush. Some pleasantries being exchanged there.
Is that what you call it, Mark?
Yeah, well, we'll put it lightly.
It was clearly a foul on Bush. Late whistle.
Were you asking Ian Cameron this week? He mentioned how both teams have had an up and down season to start. When we had the chance to talk to Cameron about his side's up and down start to the season. He had a couple of reasons to rattle off for us for why that was the case. He mentioned, well, we've got 7 to 8 new starters from last year's squad, so there's been a lot of finding themselves again this season. And also, he mentioned they need to find the home form, which was an issue for a lot of last year, especially while they were still at Eric Russell Park, and then they were able to attain at the end of the year right when they needed it, and were able to, of course, get the home win in the first round of the playoffs and in the final against Chattanooga. She said they were too passive at home this season and they need more fire, but ever since that loss to Richmond, they've had more of that spirit and they're recapturing some of that energy that they need.
Yeah, obviously missing your goal-scoring hero, Keziah Sterling, to start the season. That didn't help. Bosch was coming back from the ACL. It was a question kind of where the goals were going to come from early, but listen, Tormenta are going to be in the mix. I don't think there's any doubt about that towards the end of the season. We've seen how dangerous they've been early in this one. Got a goal in Lexington, Northern Colorado, with a 1-0 lead. Billy King with his second goal in 3 games.
Boy, did they open up their home venue last week.
And the Kickers with an early 1-0 lead over Chattanooga.
Greenville trying to sustain some possession here.
Yeah, they've ridden the early storm. It sometimes takes a little bit to adjust and see what a team's coming out. And obviously we thought 4-4-2 perhaps for Tormenta. That's a lovely ball.
Wu coming all the way forward. Gavilanha is getting inventive. Wasn't quite on frame. With his back towards goal.
That one had gone in, that would have been some goal, Gavilanha. Yes. Listen, any good attacking midfielder winger knows where the goal is at all times, and he just turned and smashed that one, but didn't quite make good enough contact.
So Gavilanha typically plays on the left, but he's currently on the right-hand side with Venton Evans on the left. And last year, those two were common fixtures out on the wings, and they were capable of switching at any given time. Polak wins it back for Greenville. He'll take it forward now. Boschwa's on his back. That sliding challenge. Brings the ball back for Tormenta. That was Keziah Sterling coming back. So the efforts from the strikers winning possession for the visiting side.
One thing that's clear about Paladin Stadium this year, it's not proving to be the fortress that Legacy Early was. Just 1 win in 5 home games. 3 losses for Greenville so far this season. It's a new home for them too, right? It's going to take them a little while to get used to it. Different turf, better turf, from all things we've heard from a lot of coaches we've spoken to, compared to Legacy. Obviously the Lions take a little bit to get used to.
And they haven't had the chance to really play on the pitch outside of during the matches. Not a ton of opportunities to train on the ground.
Emiliano Terzaghi with the goal for the Kickers. Just, what, his second of the season?
I believe it's just his second, yeah. They would love to get him going. I was telling you before the game, Trazer Mbuyu, one of the 3 goal scorers in that Charlotte game, he's starting to get into a rhythm now, which makes that Charlotte team oh so dangerous.
3 points clear now at the top. North Carolina do have a couple of games in hand, including one tonight, obviously. That will start in 12 minutes or so. Things are starting to play their way out, I think, in League One a little bit, Mark. I think we've got 2 or 3 teams that aren't in the mix at the moment, and perhaps a lot of people don't expect them to be, and then 2 or 3 teams at the top that are not pulling it. Oh, that might be a handball. Careful.
Makoto just fighting and clawing his way forward with that ball, and it bounces down fortuitously to Otieno, but he had to bring it down with his stomach.
I think it's certainly going to be a very interesting battle for those final 3 playoff spots.
I agree.
I think North Carolina, Charlotte, and NOCO, by all accounts, and from the experts that I listen to, and obviously our fellow broadcasters here, seem to be 3 clearest best teams at the moment. Obviously very early, just a third of the way through the season, but I think they was also the teams that we expected to be there, right, Mark? NOCO, watch out.
Some pressure here. Liam McKinnon winning the ball back, plays it centrally, and it's headed away.
Noko had such a great finish to the season last year, barely missed out on the playoffs. NCFC made so many great off-season moves. Obviously, that doesn't always translate to success, but they've been very good so far. Charlotte just have too much talent to be as poor as they were last year at times. They figure they get it right at some point. I don't think any real surprise in the top 3.
And it's crazy to say as poor as they were last year when they still made the playoffs and at one point had a lead.
They did.
In Statesboro.
I say at times, right? We thought they would easily make the playoffs, right? And perhaps even get a home game.
Yeah.
Richmond are in the mix as well now. An up and down season just like these two teams.
Akale with room to work with. He's got a man out wide. Corey plays it back centrally, but instead, once again, finds Tyler Pollock. They're going to say that drifted just to the right of the corner flag. So it will be a corner kick for Tormenta.
I think Knoxville is sort of the one team I'm not really sure what they are yet, Marty. Watched them a couple of times, games that I've done, and they look great at times. Had trouble putting the ball in the back of the net, though. Is that going to come back? They've got a tough stretch of games coming up, including tonight against North Carolina in Knoxville. If they can pull out a win there, it'll certainly open some people's eyes.
Headed down by Heckenberg and into the hands of Mazzola. I mean, if Jake Keegan keeps scoring goals, then they'll be doing fine.
He's been a hot starter at times in League One. He's faded away as well, though. Just wonder where else the goals are going to come from, Knoxville, but they're very well coached. They've got enough talent, certainly, to make the playoffs.
Comes to talented teams. We got 2 of them here. John Harkes talking about Tormenta, said it's a team really good in transition moments. Tormenta mentioned that they don't press as much as they did last year, but are more than capable of it. John Harkes talked about how this Tormenta team wants to build out of the back a little bit more this year, but could be a chance for us to pounce on a slip up and get a good breakaway opportunity. A good side with some great pace up front. That is how he described this visiting Tormenta unit. Meanwhile, the biggest thing for Greenville that Ian Cameron highlighted is not even something he has to worry about today. This one just gets out of the reach of Jackson Corey. Yeah, Ian Cameron, the first thing he wanted to bring up to us was Lucas Coutinho, who is not in the 18. Ian Cameron said he's a really good player, and this year has more responsibility, he's been more consistent, and has been the reason they've won some of these games this year. But outside of Coutinho, he mentioned that Castro is a good addition, Jacob Blavovitz is underrated. Threw some compliments John Harkes' way, mentioned that he always has a good eye for a forward talent. He's very aware of Greenville's situation too. He said they've been hurt by injuries this year. They've been constantly changing that back line, and they're going to try to capitalize on it here. Evan Lee tracking that down with Mazzola sliding behind him. And Cameron said it's been hard to handle backline issues, especially now this year with the CBA. It's even harder to manage and take care of. But he had pretty high confidence that Greenville is still going to make it work this season. Called them the most consistent team in League One's history. But he is 100% correct in that assessment as far as the handling injuries are concerned.
71.1% possession so far for the Tormenta mark. Not a mark you see too often in USL League One. Sometimes see it in the 60s, but very rare to see it in the 70s.
Talking to Mike Jeffries about the possession conundrum in USL League One, the team with more possession not winning most of the time. Tormenta will look to be on the opposite end of that pattern here today. Akoto pokes us to the top of the 18. Akale with the volley. And that ended up being closer than I had thought when it first left his boot.
Yes. Lexington tied things up. Atas Diouf, 21st minute. Greenville just looking for answers here, Mark. They just can't seem, as you said, looking to hold on to that ball and advance it down the field like they like to do. They're not so much a counter-attacking team. Just can't seem to get possession in the middle here. Frustrating first half of this first half for John Harkes. And they certainly don't have much to go to on the bench, especially in the midfield-wise tonight, Mark.
No.
Jonah Bigger, more of a defender, but he can play in the midfield well. Really the only midfielder listed on the bench. It's Cox Hatchwood, more of a striker. Probably play attacking midfield if he had to.
The only other thought I could have is maybe you throw in Labovitz and then you pull Castro back just a hair. Of course, that is just crafting up theories at its finest. Of course, that's sometimes the situation these coaches get put in. It's not about just, oh, who's the next guy in line. It's about, all right, how are we going to make this into a shape as Pilato strikes, and that actually may have been on target. And it was, because TJ Bush needed to get his hands on it.
Noah Pilato, that's all he does. Score bangers. That was from a long, long way out. I'm not really sure where it was heading initially, Mark, but yeah, TJ Bush called into action there with a very acrobatic save.
This corner kick brought to you by PNC's Corner for Kids.
Both goalies wearing 99 tonight. I forgot about that.
Service comes in, and that was awfully close. Punched over the crossbar by TJ Bush.
Bush wearing 0 today. He's listed as 99 on the opposite.
So opposite ends of the
yes, as far as you can
the number scale, yeah. Another PNC's Corner for Kids. It'll be Devin Boyce who will provide the service on the left flag.
Greenville packing the 6-yard box. 4 of them in there right now.
A lot of bodies around as that ball pops out to the 18. Pilato still with it. Pilato shoots. That may have suffered a deflection, I'm unsure. They're gonna say, nope, that was clean off Pilato and out for a goal kick. He got a juggle on it, and we're thinking he was gonna let it fly, and he did his best.
Greenville have at least looked dangerous when they get into that final third.
Just haven't had too many chances to give looks.
No.
Nembard threading that ball up the pitch. A couple of pleas for who that came off of, but they're going to say it's off of Daniel Wu. And that's the other element to this, too, as far as the player carousel that Greenville continually find themselves in this year with availability. John Harkes brought up that we also have 2 guys who are brand new to the pro game that we're trying to acclimate into the pro style. Daniel Wu and Liam McKinnon, who have both gotten significant minutes to start the season. Here's McKinnon on the ball now. McKinnon with service in the middle. Couldn't get it by one Deshaun Nembard. He had Castro waiting for it.
It's interesting. It looks like McKinnon is pushing a little more forward now than Castro.
This PNC's Corners for Kids. Coming from the right-hand side from the boot of Alan Gavilanes. Brandon Fricke making his way up. Gavilanes swings it in. Double-fisted punch from TJ Bush. Polak rolls it to Lee. Pilato well shielded there by Keziah Sterling. They're going to get a free kick.
Jackson Curry playing some defense on the right wing.
back. Have another go at it. Devin Boyce, Alan Gavilanez are the two by the ball. Pilato just leaving them. Boyce, low bouncing ball. It's still in the 18 before cleared out by Tormenta.
That's just an interesting run of play. It wasn't the best struck free kick. Tormenta defender had to get super low. King's offside. Disagrees with it. Let's do the reading of a right.
They're still working on their transition from the college game to the pro game, John Hart said. He mentioned just how much they've asked of these two players, despite how green they are as far as the pro soccer ranks. Still trying to get their bearings, and mentioned that you don't want to doom these guys to fail by throwing them into the fire. So on top of, maybe putting them in different positions and playing in different shapes, depending on the situation that Greenville find themselves in roster-wise any given week, they're also just trying to get the game itself down in the pro ranks. Definitely have to give kudos to the two of them for playing that adjustment.
It's a much longer season in the pros, but in college, you're used to playing 2 games a week sometimes, quite frequently. So they're used to playing a number of games, but it's just the length of the season, right? The amount of practice sessions, having time away from the pitch, right? When you're in college, if you're not playing soccer, you're doing schoolwork. Another thing to get used to, right? When you have that free time, even though you are practicing a lot more.
You're also playing against players who just have much more of a savviness to them. I mean, you can talk about Leo Castro, who they are their teammates with. He's been playing pro soccer for quite a while now. He knows how to play the game. You could say the same thing on the other end. I mean, even though he's younger, Keziah Sterling, been around Tottenham. You're playing against players who aren't also college students, so.
If Keziah Sterling's happy he's not at Tottenham with the way things are going there the last couple of years.
Well, take it forward here. Sterling plays it to his left. Curry into the center. It's still trickling around. And now the flag will go up.
He was gesturing. It looked like he was offside. Waited far too long to play that ball. He was always in an offside position. I thought Sterling was going to go on his own. But good save in the end from Jared Mazzola.
Perhaps a spooky moment, but
I thought Arthur Boscher was going to score from his backside for a second. Underway in Knoxville. First minute there between One Knox and NCFC as Jared Mazzola trying to check if he's bleeding. But it was a good challenge in the end from Evan Lee.
So 30 minutes in, despite all the possession and chances Tormenta have been cooking up, it is 0-0 here. And ultimately, pretty much even when it comes to the XG. Sterling gets the turn on Fricke. Sterling drives forward, plays it to Corey. Corey whips it across the middle, but just too far ahead of his compatriot stashing forward. Don't miss a minute of the action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of USL League One action on ESPN+, the home to the USL, La Liga, the Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. You can also watch the FA Cup final earlier today on ESPN+.
I missed it, but I heard there was an early goal.
Yeah, I think it was 16 seconds.
Sometimes you too, that's why you got the replay on ESPN+. You can just go back in and watch the replay.
Exactly.
Tune in late, just hit the rewind button and start from the start.
I believe it was a brace from Gundogan in that game as Man City won their second title of the season. They'll be looking to earn the treble next weekend. Tormenta once again is holding on to possession. This one slides down to Bourgeois. Shrugging off Lee, getting it off of Evans. It'll be a throw for this Tormenta side. Sterling to Bourgeois. Now Akale juggling it. Akale somehow finds Bourgeois, and he floats it across. Corey wins the ball. That one step two. Still pinging around, and now out for a Greenville throw. Couldn't reach Otieno, a player they didn't have at the beginning of last season. Injuries, visa issues, they just didn't have Toby Otieno for a lot of the year. And you knew just waiting for him to come back after the talents he demonstrated at Omaha, how frustrating that was for this Tormenta side. I asked Ian Cameron how nice was it to have him from the beginning of the season. He said it's a big difference because you get to know him more in the preseason. He talked about ambitions. He wants to move to the next level. And we finally had the chance to sit down with him and give him the boxes he needs to check off in order to make that jump. One of them being to create more offensive output. They know how ferocious a defender he is.
He's a two-time USL League One champion. Those guys, we used to talk to coaches about him. He's just a winner.
Could have been in a third final in 2020 as well.
He's not complaining about it. That was one of those harsh ones when you make that turn, you get the hook on, perhaps.
Castro, player that Hark said he was exactly what they were hoping for. Player who connects the game really well from the middle to the attacking third. Big, strong forward, not as quick as maybe some other strikers in League One. But as Harks put it, he really understands the game. He just gets it. Bush having to do some work on his feet.
Greenville got themselves back into this game a little bit more in the last 10 minutes. Hasn't been as much chaos other than that. Just a couple of half chances, one that was offside. Seems to have settled in a little bit and found their formation. From Polak.
Evans gets that one knifed away from him by Akoto. Had to do something about it or else Evans was going to wheel around him.
Akoto turned on the Jets there.
The 6'3" right back having to keep pace with the speedy Venton Evans. Two big, quick guys in Evans and Akoto. So we get this PNC's corner for kids. Greenville at this point have more shots than Tormenta, both with a shot on target. Boyce with the service. Well, this is the prettiest looking headed out clearance, but it gets the job done for Tormenta. Lotto will send it over to Wu, who's going to have to chase it. Wu swings it in, headed down by McKinnon, but didn't have a lot of bite to it.
Perhaps just knocked that one back across. It was always going to be tough to get the power on enough on that one to beat TJ Bush from that distance.
It's about 15 minutes till we get to halftime. We'll take a peek at the highlights from week 11 when we go to break. We'll also have a chance to look at the scoreboard and whatnot. Second time in league history that we have 6 games taking place at the same time. Not the same day.
Do you have 6 screens at your house, Mark, if you needed to watch all 6 games? No, well, one was earlier, so we'll give it 5 at once.
I don't think unless I was borrowing other people's screens, I don't think I have enough.
Disappointed in you, son. That's going to be a foul on Gavilan, isn't it? Just caught in there a little late. It's Fiesta de Football night, Mark, at Greenville this evening. We were asking John Hawks about his favorite Hispanic meal. He said he likes chicken and rice and beans. He was a very simple man when it came to that. You had some tacos the other night, Mark. What else are you a fan of?
I mean, it's hard to just beat something simple, just a tortilla and some queso. That is really good. Had some superb salsa verde yesterday.
I'm a big Cuban fan. I love my Palomino beef steak. Oh.
A dragged effort from Akali straight into the hands of Mazzola. Is a dangerous spot for that shot to be taken. Now they've got a Spanish PA alongside their normal guy here tonight. They had a pregame tailgate. Many food vendors.
I'm not going to attempt any Spanish in this game tonight, Marcus. Well, we'll see. Maybe something will come out naturally. Maybe we'll have a golazo.
Perhaps. We'll see which of these sides can conjure one up.
We had an Olympico.
You'll see that clip at halftime. Boschwa trying to slip by Lee.
By Evan Lee.
Boschwa to the top. Passed over to Akali. Akali shoots! And it won't go in!
What a save.
Jared Mazzola gets just enough on that one.
He's angry because he wants the foul called on Evan Lee. There's just some superb defensive work by Evan Lee, matched by that save from Jared Mazzola. That certainly should be up for save of the week. Let's take another look at it here. That was perhaps what should have been the foul. Boschwa taking care of Evan Lee. Superb save. Boschwa is a physical talent. He's a handful to deal with. Frickie and Lee certainly match up physically well with him.
Boschwa 6'3". Trying to get the physical element to his game back. Ian Cameron mentioned that he's been working to find the nuances of the game again, recovering from that terrible injury. Kept him out for a whole year. Talked about how he was great in his return, and then he played Richmond last week and talked about how physical those Richmond center backs can be, and the league's full of guys like that, so he needs to get used to that element of the game again. Did well there to stay upright.
Noco with a 2-1 lead late in the first half against Lexington. The second lead of the evening.
This segment of the match brought to you by ScanSource, accelerating growth for partners and calling Greenville home for 30 years. Oh no! Can Mazzola get there in time? He can! Nearly disaster!
See Jared Mazzola's face. That sums it up. Will we get a wry smile at the end of it? No. You could hear the reaction of the crowd.
Ross, that would have been one of the most surprising things.
Do we want to look at a replay? I'm not sure.
It's one of those moments where, as a broadcaster, you're almost just taking a quick breather. You're passing along the back. You're totally good.
Here's another look at it here.
So Frickie just plays it back, and Mazzola wipes out and gets back in time. Credit to him.
Well, you got to blame the defender there. Mazzola was trying to get away from the goal, which you never want to be passing it back straight towards your goal if you can help it. Mazzola was trying to go out wide for the back pass, and Brandon Frickie just left him out to dry. Mazzola was almost made to look very silly, but rescued it in the end.
All in the day's work. It was Jackson Curry who was down and slow to get up.
Looks like he's in a turf burn, perhaps.
It's a warm day in Greenville, sitting around the mid-80s. Mazzola making some saves with his face to the sun, mind you, as you see there. Having to shield it out of his eyes.
I mentioned clean sheets earlier. Mark seeking his first clean sheet since April 22nd. Came against Lexington. 2-0 road win.
Looks like he's doing all right now. Corey gets ushered out of bounds by Tyler Pollock. Interesting first half of action here, Ross. 5 shots apiece, 2 on target. But possession still at 70% to 30% in favor of Tormenta.
It's almost looked like a road match for Greenville. Right, the way they just haven't been able to get possession of the ball. When they had them, when they got into that final third, they've looked dangerous. Certainly be an interesting halftime talk for both coaches. Bruno Rendon with the second goal for the Hailstorm tonight.
So that makes it 2-1.
Does make it 2-1 to the Hailstorm on the road at Lexington. Still 1-0 Richmond. 0-0 between Knoxville and North Carolina. 15 minutes into that one. Lexington and Northern Colorado. Richmond and Chattanooga approaching the half just like we are here. That was where it should have been, Mark, there.
Yeah.
This time Brandon Fricky knew where Mazzola was going wide.
That's just Brandon Fricky's 4th start of the year.
Yeah, a little rusty still.
Also has to develop that chemistry with Jared Mazzola, who is the new guy between the sticks for Greenville this year. Now, it doesn't quite feel that way as much anymore, being this is his 11th start for Greenville. But it's not as much time for Brandon Fricky, who has been only recently made his return. See, we get 3 minutes of stoppage time, brought to you by Engineered Sleep, the best handmade mattresses in town. Visit engineeredsleep.com for better sleep. Akoto down that right-hand side, scored a goal in added time last week in the first half. Evans stumbling and falling. Sterling. Time to make a decision. We'll lob it over to Akale. Mukwele Akale pressing it forward. And he runs into a brick wall. Daniel Wu proving a sturdy object there.
8 touches in the opponent's box so far for Greenville tonight. 18 for Tormenta. Greenville with only 55% passing accuracy in the opposition's half. And I'm not sure whether they consider themselves to be lucky to not be down at the half. I'm sure they'll take the 0-0 score, that's for sure. Get into that locker room, trying to figure out how they can work their way into this game. Possession, it's been all one way. This would not be a good injury if Evans is unable to continue. Cox Ashwood perhaps play on the wing. Certainly move Ryan McKinnon out there as well if necessary.
I was about to say, yeah. You are right by half, so you could, in theory, just play down a man and wait and see once you get a more thorough look into Venton Evans' situation. I think that came off the hand of Akoto.
John Harks wants the card.
Quick smile there from Nick Akoto, not sure who that was targeted towards.
Congrats to John Harkes and his former team Sheffield Wednesday with their promotion back to the championship last weekend. I asked John Harkes if he wanted to go. He certainly said he would have done if he could have, but obviously didn't want to leave his team, even on a weekend off. Talked to him a little bit about his son, Ian Harkes. His contract up at Dundee United. He got relegated in Scotland. We'll see where Ian ends up. Perhaps sticks around in the United Kingdom, or does he come back to the US? We'll have to see.
Boyce floats it back in. Comes down, cleared away by a Beauchois. And it's a Koto who's on the ground.
And some pain. Grabbing his right ankle.
Koto, the 24-year-old from London.
There's an aerial battle for the ball. Perhaps he just came down awkwardly on that ankle. See if we can see it here on the far side. He's in the mix for this challenge. Oof, yeah, just rolled his ankle on the landing a little bit.
Those injuries always provide a lot of pain, and they're also incredibly frustrating for the player.
It's not probably the time he wants to do this. Either the ankles, if you can go in that locker room and they can stiffen up, not running around in it. Not sure if he's going to be able to continue here.
So it does appear that they're going to prepare a substitute for Nick Koto here. He is not walking on that foot, that ankle at all at this moment. As the trainer and Chris Heckenberg get him off the pitch. I just hope it's nothing too serious for Nick Koto. Work on him just beyond the goal line. Subbing into his stead, Colin Masiunas. Will be his second appearance of the season from Morgantown, West Virginia.
Straight swap there, right back. Only 13 minutes of League One action for Masiunas so far this season. He's already called into action here.
Didn't take him very long to get involved as Venton Evans has it now. Places that one in the middle. And it's going to go out for a PNC's corner for kids. Whistle could blow at any moment. It really is up to how much time has transpired in active play by our head official, John Motto. Boyce with Gavilanes right there. Drives it in. Headed away. And that whistle will blow. Despite the action that has transpired in the first 45 minutes of action, some quality chances from both sides. It remains 0-0 between the Greenville Triumph and South Georgia Tormenta. Maybe the scariest moment of the day was for Jared Mazzola as the ball was rolling back to his net, though he did make a fantastic save outside of that. That, if we were talking more seriously, was probably the biggest chance denied by either side. Looks from a shot from that man, Mukwele Akale, that was closest to putting Tormenta up. He also finished a shot, or he actually had a threaded pass that got waved off by the offside flag. But with that in mind, we will step aside briefly for a break. When we come back, we'll have halftime content for you here on ESPN Plus, including Week 11 highlights and more. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you then.
This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location,
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
Whenever the Greenville Tramps score not 1, but 2 goals during any home game, fans score big with 10% off on all fresh, scratch-made food at Habitat. Just grab a table, show your game day ticket while wearing your Triumph gear. Don't forget, you can always come cheer on the team while watching the away games during our watch parties. Habitat, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph.
Welcome back to Greenville, South Carolina. Your halftime score, Greenville Triumph 0, South Georgia Tormenta 0. With that in mind, let's get to your regularly scheduled highlight package here. Let's get on to it. It's time for your Week 11 roundup, starting off at American Legion Memorial Stadium. A rainy day there, but it was also raining goals for the Jacks. Joel Johnson getting his first of the season, just recently became the most capped player in Jacks history. Then Omar Sist hits this beautiful free kick. Does a little celebration afterwards, similar to that of Cristiano Ronaldo. And then in the second half, Tracer Mbuyu, no goals 2 weeks ago. Now he has a goal in 2 straight games. If that man's getting hot, then the Jacks are really going to be flying. They're already up in the table, and if they can get Tracer Mbuyu in good form, they're a menacing team to go up against. Meanwhile, the 2 new clubs, their second ever fixture against each other, and it starts off with this Nico Brown header. Wonderfully serviced ball from Tate Robertson. Lexington gets the lead at home, but there would be a response, and it would be from a man who scored in their first leg. It would be Jake Keegan tucking it home. He's been in great form to start this season, making the transfer over to One Knoxville, his 3rd different League One club. And Keegan, once again, on the score sheet here. Then later in the game, Ahinga Selemani would play this ball in, and Amail Knight would knock it away, keep it at a 1-1 draw. Mark McKeever and Sam Stockley would give an encouraging handshake after the match, sharing a point apiece. Meanwhile, Future Legend Sports Complex opens up its home to Northern Colorado Hailstorm. This will be where they'll be playing games for quite a long time, and they christened it properly. 1 goal in the first half. 9 minutes later, they'd get a second goal in the first half. Billy King. Then it would only take 7 more minutes, still in the first half, where Billy King, who's been involved in each goal, mind you, so far, draws the penalty. They're going to give it to Trevor Ahmed, which puts him at 6 total goals on the season, tying him with Rafa Mensingen. They're already up 3-0, but they still got 1 more goal in them before the end of the half, and it would be Trevor Ahmed getting his 7th goal, putting him in the lead for the Golden Boot race. in the second half, there would be a goal salvaged for Central Valley Fuego after the handball inside the 18. Villian Bijeb would put it home, making it 4-1 in favor of Northern Colorado Hailstorm. What a way to open up your new home. As we go over to a new home that was opened up last season and also saw a championship title. Tormenta hosting Richmond right before the half. Nick Akoto would put this one in, his first goal as a pro. Nice rainy day in Tormenta as well. Saw some rain across different venues in USL League One last Saturday. And then the Olympico from Justin Suko. Ambitious strike. Pablo Jara, could he have done better? I don't know. It was a good hit from Suko. It would end up being a 1-1 draw, but not before we saw a red card. Zaka Moran, the ever physical holding midfielder, gets his second yellow. He'd get sent out of the match, but no goals would be scored. Ian Cameron and Darren Sawatsky share a handshake, and we go on to our last game of the day. Madison going to Werner Park. Fantastic save from Vern Shipman. Two fantastic keepers in this game between Shipman and Rashid Nuhu. But it would be Macias who gets on the scoreboard first, weaving through some traffic, getting the nice finish, making it 1-0 in favor of the Mingos, and doing a little runway celebration afterwards. But Omaha would come in, the ball would skip through a couple times, and Shaft Brewer would put it home to tie the game up at 1 apiece. But there would still be one more goal in this game, a winner, a decider. This corner kick, Christian Cheney is going to do some fantastic individual effort. Take a look at this touch right here, and then outside of his boot, gets it done. Madison win 2-1. We're going to step aside for a break. We'll see you on the other end on ESPN+.
Are you ready? Ready for more of the game you love? Ready for more players and more teams? Ready for more stadiums, for more fans in more cities? This is a different league, the USL Super League. Built for the future of women's soccer, bridging the journey from youth to pro, connected to the global game, and bringing it all closer to home. Are you ready?
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
Welcome back to halftime here on ESPN Plus. Mark Schoenster alongside me, Ross Davenport. 0-0 between the Triumph and Tormenta as we take a peek at the news and the notes from around USL League One. It's the start of Pride Month, of course, and the USL launching a partnership with You Can Play. You can find out more about what that partnership entails on USL League One's website. Meanwhile, Don Smart joining the group of marathon men in USL League One, making his 100th appearance last week.
That man never ages, Mark. I wouldn't be surprised if he reaches 200.
200 is the one we're waiting to see who eclipses first. That's going to be a tall order to see because, I mean, it's a very select group of people who have broken 100 for that matter, as Noe Meza gets his player of the week after the brace against Greenville last weekend. And let's take a peek at our scoreboard across League One. Again, second time in league history that we have 6 games on the same day. One of them's already completed. Charlotte Independence getting the 3-0 victory over the Owls. Meanwhile, the Hailstorm with a 2-1 advantage. Ross Davenport mentioned Bruno Rendon getting the advantage in that one. And Terzaghi getting on the score sheet. Their second half just getting going between Richmond and Chattanooga, but scoreless between Knoxville and North Carolina SC. We'll see if that remains the same way throughout the second half of our game. We'll give you updates if we ever hear any goals scored in that affair. Meanwhile, coming up next week in USL League One action, here are some of the fun games. Greenville once again playing Union Omaha, and Tormenta will be playing Lexington. Any of these games in particular stick out to you, Ross?
I'm looking forward to that Wednesday Kickers at Hailstorm one. That should be a tasty contest.
Absolutely. I'm actually right on board with you on that one. With that in mind, though, we're going to step aside, and when we come back, we'll have the first half highlights, the first half stats, and then the second half of action on ESPN+. We'll see you then.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
It's not about building a home in just 30 hours for a deserving family with Habitat for Humanity, or about building homes for a national television competition. It's about building memorable experiences with our community, team members, and trade partners that will last for a lifetime. Hunter Quinn Homes, building the difference.
This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
Fifth Third Bank. Yeah, it's a quirky name. But here's the thing. 5/3 equals 166.7%. So we put 166.7% into everything we do. Like automatically getting you your paycheck up to 2 days early. Giving you well-deserved extra time to avoid overdraft fees. And helping you borrow from your future self. This is banking a Fifth Third better.
Tonight's USL League One broadcast presented by ScanSource, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph. Welcome back here to the tail end of halftime on ESPN Plus as both teams return to the pitch. Mark Schoenstar alongside me, Ross Davenport. Appreciate you tuning in as we get ourselves ready to cook up our highlights from the first half of action. Both teams had a chance to create some chances, make some things happen. Tormenta early on in the game especially had a couple of dangerous moments in the attacking third. And now we have a chance to get our eyes on it. It started off really early in this one, Ross.
Yeah, first 5 or 10 minutes were all Tormenta, putting tons of pressure on the backline. But Kelly Aquala here completely schooling Tyler Pollack, but couldn't put the ball onto the foot of Nick Akoto, who would leave this game late in the first half with what looked like a nasty ankle injury.
A couple moments later, Greenville will try to make something happen here. The pressure from Akoto once again. physicality. Then Alan Gavilanes with the turn and shot. Couldn't quite put it on frame.
Makoto involved again here. This was a similar attempt to Gavilanes from Makoto. Just a turn and smash it, but no real threat to Jared Mazzola's goal. Not that time anyway. There would be a later threat to his goal from his own teammate.
In the 24th minute, it was just moments later. The corner kick on the other end. Punched over the bar by TJ Bush. They weren't going to concede straight from a corner kick 2 weeks in a row here. TJ Bush privy to it. And then just moments later, very similarly, punched up by TJ Bush. Twice he was tested in a row as we look at the Warehouse Services Incorporated halftime stats.
68% possession for Tormenta, but unless you're turning that into quality chances, which they really didn't do in the last sort of 25 minutes of that first half, there's not much used to that possession. Greenville have really got to get things going in that final third. When they've been down there, as we mentioned, they've looked dangerous, but just haven't been down there enough. Only 10 touches in the opponent's box in that first half.
Tormenta with an expected goal of .59 to Greenville's .32. As both teams are making their way back to the pitch.
See if either team makes any changes at the break.
Tormenta had to make that change right before the break. Colin Masiunas coming into the game for the injured Nikakoto.
Greenville's main attacking options on the bench in Alex Cox, Ashwood, and Jacob Labovitz. John Harks mentioned the Labovitz-Castro combo hasn't quite worked out yet, but they're still working on it. See if he uses them at some point soon in a two-striker formation.
More minutes of League One action here at Paladin Stadium. Let's see if either of these teams can claim 3 points. At the beginning of the day, we mentioned that both of them could use a win here. Both sitting right square in the middle of the League One race, but both have been struggling to find victories as of recently.
If Greenville held on to that kickers game when they were 2-0 down, 2-0 up, I mean, and tied 2-2. They would have 2 wins in their last 4. It's such a strange season. There's been some strange games, a lot of goals in some games. A lot of goals in a lot of games, especially of late. 6 last time, 3, 4, 4. No, so far tonight. See if things change here in the second 45 minutes.
Fenton Evans will chase this one down. Masiunas is on him. Stuck in a corner. That one jabbed out of play by the substitute. So Tyler Polak will bring it down and wait for his moment to throw it in.
Greenville really missing Aaron Walker and Lucas Coutinho in the middle.
Gavilanes floats it up. Bounced off a couple of heads there and stayed in the 18 before being booted away. Ricky's going to have to hit this right, and he does. Boyce is going to be whistled there.
And Walker missing his 4th straight game. Scored with that poor hamstring against Charlotte in that 3-1 win. Doesn't seem like almost a month ago that game, Mark.
Yeah.
It was. Missing Tevin Shaw. Tevin Shaw was one of the sneakiest, best off-season signings at that defensive midfield spot. They haven't been having to use him at right back occasionally this season. John Harks just hasn't had his full squad at his disposal yet this season. It seems that when they get one or two get healthy, then another 1 or 2 get injured.
Mason able to connect there with Knutson. Boschwat just loses the ball. And now Castro making his way down. Nembard's with him. Castro still with it, waiting for some assistance. Finds Gavilanes. Alan Gavilanes one-on-one. It's well guarded by Mason.
Good work there by Davey Mason, using the body to shield that. The Evan Lee long ball. There's one thing that John Harkes talked about this week was when you get those turnovers on the transition, go long, go deep quickly, and that's exactly what they did there. Almost sparked a scoring opportunity. It led to the Labovitz goal in their last game. Gavilanes just looked up and lofted it over the top.
Knudsen plays this one forward for Beauchois. Pops it ahead for Akali to chase. And Mazzola with a catch and a hop. Well, settle things for Greenville. Nothing coming easy for the Triumph here. Tormenta will look to build this one going forward. Mason sending Corey running, and it'll go into the hands of Mazzola once again. Both sides still trying to find their footing here in the second half.
I wonder at what point it gets to in this half if John Harkes just says, hey, with all these injuries, do we just try and hold on for a point, or do we really try and push bodies forward and go for the win, but potentially leave yourself open at the back and risk losing a game? Point at home against Tormenta wouldn't be the end of the world, obviously, with the situation they're in health-wise. It's almost a lovely ball. See them going a little more direct here, Mark, in the second half. Going with their long ball.
Trying to see if they can spring a player running. It'll be a PNC's corner for kids. Alan Gavilanes will be the one to take it. Puts this one in. Cleared away by Sterling.
Brandon Frankie expressing a little bit of his frustration there. It was a beautiful knockdown. There's just nobody on the end of it.
Gavilanes with the service again. The header on frame from Lion McKinnon, but once again, much like a header he had in the first half, just didn't have the oomph behind it.
North Carolina FC with a stoppage time goal at the end of the first half in Knoxville. Always the best time to score, Mark. Changes your halftime speech for both teams.
North Carolina FC trying to keep pace with Charlotte, their in-state rivals. Polak taking it forward until someone closes him off, and Otieno does so in illegal fashion.
Come on, Toby. We love seeing Tyler Polak go on those runs. What are you doing? Jaden Cervania with the goal for North Carolina.
Such a high-octane offensive side for North Carolina FC. Of course, similar things can be said about the Charlotte Independents, the team they're trying to stay pace with. Corey, Sterling.
Freaky.
Jostled back by Otieno. Castro gets his foot in there. Ball's being knocked back and forth right now between the two sides.
We're underway in Wisconsin. Forward Madison hosting Central Valley Fuego. Only 20 minutes in there.
Christian Chaney playing his former team.
Alex Anderson with the assist for North Carolina on the Sylvania goal. Alex Anderson really coming into his own this season. Finally getting the starting minutes he's been looking for and making the most of it. Such a dangerous player. Great turn of pace. There's a chance for Greenville now.
Castro with the pump, has Evans running, and he's got Evans. Evans in the 18, could play it back to Castro. Castro centrally for Gavilanes, doesn't reach him. Now Pilato takes a strike. And the ref going to point to the goal kick.
I'm not sure if the assistant referee really had a good look at that. He was looking at the referee in the center for some assistance.
The end, it will be in favor of the defenders. Usually that's the rule of thumb for referees. If you don't really have an idea, you favor the defensive side. USL on ESPN continues as the summer heats up. Memphis 901 FC and Aaron Malloy head to the Valley of the Sun to face Manuel Arteaga and Phoenix Rising FC. It's Phoenix Rising FC and Memphis 901 FC Saturday, July 1st at 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Corey getting that one away to Otieno. Jackson Corey with a hopeful ball looking for Sterling, but it was just too far ahead of him. An extremely thirsty player is how Ian Cameron described Jackson Corey. Said his level of consistency too is really high. Ian Cameron mentioned that he thought that there'd be more of an assimilation period for the 20-year-old winger. He said, but he has the mental endurance, he's fit, and he's taken the decision right out of our hands as far as when and when not to play him and let him play. Talked about how he's always asking questions, almost to the point that Ian Cameron said, sometimes I just wish he'd take the coach's suggestions, but I think you prefer him to be asking more questions than not asking enough of them. Castro plays into the center, and it couldn't be juggled around by Gavilanes.
Lefty ball fired in from Castro. Not sure whether Gavilanes was going to be able to get a soft enough touch on it to put a shot on goal. He almost did.
This one will go out for a Tormenta throw. Gavilanes trying to get a goal of his own here. Has 2 assists this season, including that one with Jacob Labovitz last weekend.
Gavilanes is becoming one of those guys that's in the opposition team. You have to keep an eye on him. Most of the good stuff does go through him with John Harkes' side, no matter which wing he's playing on.
Coming into this weekend, has 58 crosses, which is second in USL League One, as Akale tried to chip that one over Jared Mazzola. When it came to him and Labovitz, I asked Harkes if Labovitz and Gavilanes have an innate connection to each other. They've developed a bit of a dynamic combo. And Harkes said they understand each other. I think you always, as a coach, are looking for those duos to establish and connect. We talked about it earlier about how Alan Gavilanes in that goal last week got the ball, looked ahead, and pushed it forward. Something they're trying to do here. Harkes mentioned that there are times in that Omaha game where a player for Greenville would win the ball back and would want to slow things down and hold the ball, and the coaching staff was pleading, no, go, this is your chance to look forward. Perhaps that's the route they need to be taking here. Sterling with players on his right. Connects with Akale. Akale to Bourgeois. Bourgeois across the center. The offside flag didn't go up. It looked like he may have been a hair behind Evan Lee.
Certainly close. The scary thing about this Tormenta offense is they're still missing two of their key attacking spots. Guys in Mateus Cassini as well as Kingsford Aje, both injured. Ian Cameron with such a plethora of attacking options at his disposal when they are fully healthy. Cassini dealing with a broken collarbone at the moment. He's still a good ways away. Kingsford Aje perhaps a little closer.
That's two more players that with the ball at their feet, they can make things happen. They'll be holding their breath and waiting for those two to return, but they'll be happy that Sterling has made his way back. Just his third appearance of the season, second start. Mukweli Akale nearly connects with Sterling, but stepping to it first was Fricky. Bush one times that, and it's gonna sky out a play for a Greenville throw. It's a bit of an awkward moment there for Bush, who was waiting for that ball to get into the 18 so he could catch it, and realized that the ball wasn't going to reach there, and he had enemy players bearing down.
Concerning thing for Greenville with the lack of home form is they've got 5 of their next 6 at home, Mike. Against Omaha, and then they do have a long trip to Fuego, and then back the following Wednesday at home against Chattanooga, home against Madison, home against Knoxville. They don't come out of these 5 matches with double-digit points. It's going to be a concern. Certainly some winnable games there against teams that do give up goals. Struggling to score yourself on a consistent basis anyway. It's going to be difficult. And Cameron was saying how key Tormenta is going to be with their 4 of 6 matches at home coming up.
Corey wins a corner kick.
Home against Lexington next, then home against NOCO at Omaha, and home against Madison. Tormenta, another team struggling, as you mentioned earlier, Mark, struggling at home again this season.
Yeah. And I believe they actually even beyond 4 of their next 6. I think it's 5 of their next 7 games at home that are coming up for Tormenta. So these are 2 teams that both need to find that home form, and they need to find it soon.
If you're not getting points at home, it puts the pressure on you on the road. I don't think it was going to be a goal kick, but officials have decided otherwise. A knock to the noggin.
So it'll be Jackson Corey who will take it from the right flag. Swings it in. And headed outward. I believe Brandon Fricky. Mason has it once again. Otieno is going to switch it over to the right-hand side. Akale is there. One-on-one with Polak. Mukweli Akale with the cross inside, headed outward. Tormenta will give it a go again. Davey Mason to Sterling. A thudding challenge there from Fricky.
this time, we would like to announce tonight's Bud Zero Safe Driver of the match. Tonight's winner is Kurt Tower. Congratulations, Kurt.
Mason having a conversation with, I believe, our fourth official.
Take the pledge and get your name entered to be the next Bud Zero Safe Driver of the
Pollock's going to be called for the foul there, just bumping into, I believe, that was Jackson Corey. Nope, was not. That's Mukweli Akale who went down. And the ref is trying to quickly get the training staff on.
Some concern there among the players. Well, he's okay. He's moving. And Cameron's all the way out there. Tells you the seriousness here.
Kali got hit pretty hard there by Pollock on that collision.
Good to see him sitting up. Maybe landed awkwardly on his head. Obviously the contact wasn't there. The contact was low.
Akale, 26 years old, from Minneapolis.
Played for the Academy at Villarreal in Spain. Also represented the USA at youth levels. Seems to be okay.
Well, after the urgency that the head official John Mata was waving on, it's good to see that he's back up on his feet on his own volition. There's always moments like that that you hold some serious concern. So we're going to be able to get a chance to see the collision here. It doesn't seem like it was from the contact.
Oh, he did catch him in the back of the head. You see it on the replay there. I thought it was just I thought he just clipped the ankles. Oh, he may have been out cold for a second.
That'll be the fourth yellow card of the season for Tyler Pollock. He may be making his exit here. Good to be precautious in these situations. Andrew Akindele looks to be getting ready to come on. Now, whether that was for Akali or not may be changing after that collision, because some substitutes were getting ready to come onto the pitch before that collision occurred. Free kick, made a connection with Bourgeois. Jaron Mazzola will swing it back in, but a chance to see some of the training staff for this Greenville side. Make sure that everything was good for Mukweli Akale. Talked to Ian Cameron a little bit about their club's partnership with Georgia Southern University and their sport and exercise psychology program. We've got a staff of people who work with Tormenta.
No, so that's a great thing, Mark, because obviously a lot of these teams don't have the budget to be able to bring in a professional on the mental side of things. To be able to work with obviously students who aim to work in that field is great.
Been a growing thing since before I came in, Ian Cameron told us. He called it multifaceted. Sometimes it's full team activities and sometimes it's proactive meetings with individuals. He mentioned that some players use it to hone their sleeping patterns, to watch their nutrition. El Gavilanes floats this in, and we've got another head collision here.
Sorry. Hülkenberg and Fricke going down.
It's always in those aerial moments where things get more tricky.
never afraid to put his head in the mix.
Here it is again.
Friggy just headed the back of Hegenberg. Headed the wrong round thing. That'll hurt a lot more than hitting a soccer ball. It appeared to be all right, though.
That's always one of the riskier moments when you're playing a game. It's usually on those corner kicks or set pieces where players are all jumping up and trying to get their head on the ball. And coincidentally enough, if you're jumping up to head the ball, your head's about the same height as the other person who's jumping up to head the ball.
Otieno upset about something.
I think it's going to be a Greenville throw-in.
Nobody knows.
Or is it going to be a drop ball?
Nobody knows what's going on. Underway in the second half in Knoxville, still 1-0 there. North Carolina at the break. Following the break here. Still 1-0 Richmond, 12 minutes to go there. 2-1 NOCO over 2-1 NOCO over at Lexington. 18 minutes to go there.
Worth noting, Mukwele Akale has subbed out of the game for Andrew Akindele. Notice the number 19 on the pitch. We're just waiting to see when that was officially going to take place. That substitution brought to you by Spinks. Fricky needing some extra time here. We also have another substitution from Tormenta worth mentioning. Arthur Bourgeois coming out of the game for Pedro Fonseca. One of the two goal scorers. Meanwhile, it will be the end of the day for Fricky as Nate Schultz comes into the game. All these substitutions brought to you by Spinks.
Well, that will likely necessitate, you would think, Daniel Wu moving into the middle.
Yeah.
Nate Schultz to right back.
So it will be a throw-in for Venton Evans after everything's been squared away. It's really going to be interesting to see where this game picks up from here, because we've now had two moments of concern that have slowed this game down drastically. So whatever was flowing for either team beforehand certainly won't be the case now unless they can recapture it. Talking about that partnership with Georgia Southern. When it comes to those personal meetings, Karen mentioned that it can vary from being a personal soundboard to working on sleep schedules, working on nutrition, or just focusing on sports performance in general. He said the important thing is they're a part of the staff, but they're separate, which is crucial, especially if you need sort of a confidant. Castro getting bodied off that ball by Nembard. Does wonderfully well there to impose himself physically.
You mentioned, some players aren't always confident in coming to their coaching staff with mental issues because they perceive, well, maybe we'll lose playing time if my coach decides to.
Beckenberg picking up his stride there to keep up with that ball. And that's a great catch from Mazzola. Had to go up for that one. It's moments like that where I understand why there are certain basketball players who are former goalkeepers. You can see where some of the lines intersect. Castro back heels it to Evans. Pilato. A touch on it there before Pollock now has it. Schultz plays in the middle. It's back out to Gavilanes. Now Boyce returns it. Across from Gavilanes, headed down and in! Leo Castro breaks the deadlock. The Colombian with his 4th on the year.
Beautiful whipped-in delivery from Alan Gavilanes with pace and accuracy, and Leo Castro on the end of it.
A headed finish. That Greenville Triumph goal presented by YMCA Greenville. Leonardo Castro, the veteran forward. After passes are traded here, Gavilanes with the wonderfully crossed ball.
Castro just saw where that ball was going to land, drifted back between defenders. Nobody went with him. Don Knudsen with his head in his hands as he knows what that means. It's a 1-0 deficit.
Maybe a laugh there shared between Castro and Evans, because Castro very much backed into his teammate. Was able to get the job done. I'm sure there won't be any complaints from Venton Evans, but surely a bit of a chuckle there between the two of them. Greenville with the 1-0 advantage. Trying to find 3 points against Tormenta for the first time in over 2 years. It was May 22nd, 2021, the last time the Greenville Triumph have been able to find victory over their rivals. There's still quite a bit of time left in this game. 15 minutes plus. We're probably going to get a wealthy amount of stoppage time tacked on as well.
Gavilanes' 3rd assist of the season. That puts him tied with a few other people for 2nd in the league, behind the man that scored the goal, Leo Castro.
Yeah. Schultz is able to jump on that one. Nate Schultz just subbed into the game. Connects with McKinnon. That's a great touch. McKinnon still going. And it goes out for a corner kick. Wonderful work there from Liam McKinnon to make something of that.
It's a lovely turn through the legs of Knudsen. Nembard over to help his buddy out. Otherwise, that could well have been 2-0.
This will be PNC's corner for kids.
It reminds me of sort of a Greenville game from a few years ago, Mark, when they sort of hung around, they used to hang around and then find that one goal. And that was all they would need. As I mentioned, the clean sheets haven't come of late. They haven't played terribly tonight, but they haven't looked particularly effective for the most part. But that was a lovely ball by Gavilanes and a devastating header. 2nd game in a row with the headed goal for Castro.
Boyce with the corner, headed back across. McKinnon went up for it. Couldn't get a clean contact on the ball. Confidence there for the Triumph right now, though. Evans pops it up, headed away by Maciunas. And Tormenta find a retort. They're gonna get a yellow card issued here.
It's a good card, though. You can see what McKinnon was trying to do. Professional foul, slowing down the play.
His 2nd yellow card of the season, Liam McKinnon. So it appears that McKinnon is going to take his leave after the booking.
I was going to say, just off he went. He took his yellow and went home. But it was a substitution. Alex Cox-Ashwood on now, Frenchman.
Substitution brought to you by Spinks. His 7th appearance of the season, Alex Cox-Ashwood. Greenville win the ball back once again. Got stuck between Alex Cox-Ashwood and Alan Gavilanes there.
Goal in Madison. Forward Madison. Guess who, Mark?
Is it Christian Cheney?
It is Christian Cheney against his former team. 42nd minute goal there. The home team the 1-0 lead in that one.
Corner kick service comes in, goes all the way across to Heckenberg, bounces it off of Evans. And a roll out for a Tormenta throw.
Lexington have tied it late, Mark. 2-2 now against Northern Colorado. The crowd's going wild there.
Won't be seeing Northern Colorado on the road too frequently up after this point, given they started their first 7 on the road. It was a road game today in Lexington. Get this free kick here. Get some substitutions here. More players making their way off the pitch.
Sustitución de Tormenta en el minuto 80. Entrando al partido número 25, Jake Dangler. Saliendo del partido número 12, Deshaun.
Ian Cameron's not wasting any time. His team's being outshot 6-3 in this half. Just the one shot on goal for Tormenta. Just being a little frustrated. Getting off to such a fast start in this game. Kind of going back into their shell mark since we haven't seen these attacking runs like this.
So there's one of the substitutes right there, Elijah Mo, subbing into the game. Along with him are John Murphy and Jake Dangler, all coming into the game for Ian Cameron's side. Dangler coming in for Nembard, Murphy in for Heckenberg. And then there's Jacob Labovitz readying his entry for the Greenville Triumph.
So 5 subs now for Ian Cameron.
Waiting confirmation on who the last exiter for Tormenta is. Those substitutions brought to you by Spinks once again, who are entering the game. Jake Dangler, John Murphy, and Elijah Amo.
Of course, Greenville will not be using their, they certainly hope they won't be using all 5 subs tonight. That's all they have on the bench, and one of those is the goalkeeper. It's Ates Diouf with his 2nd goal of the night for Lexington. Tie things up there. The assist by Charlie Mitchell.
So the last exiter for Tormenta was Jackson Corey. So Dangler for Nembard, Murphy for Heckenberg, and Amo for Corey. Those substitutes brought to you by Spinks.
Yvette Evans is also going to walk off with a yellow, just like his teammate. This one for time wasting.
That's Evans' first yellow card of the season. And he'll leave number 19 for number 18, Jacob Labovitz. The Spinks substitution taking place with under 9 minutes to go. Of course, worth mentioning, we're going to get a healthy amount of added time here due to the handful of stoppages we've had in this second half. The difference in this game, a goal by Leo Castro in the 73rd minute, assisted by Alan Gavilanes, his 3rd assist. Castro jostling with Knutson. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk. Hear live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more. All on SiriusXM FC 157 in the SXM app.
This would be a big win for Greenville if they could hold on. Again, the team that you mentioned, Mark, has completely dominated them over the last 2 years. Certainly taking a lot of the steam out of this attack. Still time, though, for Tormenta perhaps to do something. This man's been quiet all night, Keziah Sterling, but we know what he can do in a flash.
In a similar vein to Emiliano Terzaghi, all it takes is a moment for Sterling to change the complexion of a match. Otieno plays it forward for Sterling. This one chipped in by Murphy, and Mazzola will jump on top of it. Since Greenville last beat Tormenta, Tormenta are 7-0-1 in the series. And although Greenville are looking at a victory, certainly no guarantees. You could say that pretty easy thing to say in a 1-0 game. Tormenta are able to come back from a 3-goal deficit against Greenville in that one draw that they had, that crazy 5-5 game last year.
Yes.
It's not one I'll be forgetting anytime soon.
Importantly, this win for Greenville would jump them above Tormenta. 14 points to 13, both with 4 wins. Greenville going to be 3 points out of third.
Lavovitz hucking that ball straight into the hands of TJ Bush. Not often you see a throw-in go straight into the hands of the keeper like that.
It's one of those things, you'd almost be better off letting it go in, Mark, because if he does happen to fumble that and it goes in, it's a goal. But if he just lets it go in, it's a goal kick.
Amo reaches the defender, and that's a point to the spot. And rightfully so. Jared Mazzola knocking down Andrew Akindele. Not sure if he grabbed his leg or gave him a push on the back, but one way or another, Akindele beat Mazzola to the ball. And just like that, Tormenta have the chance to equalize.
Well, Mazzola was never going to get there. He just went down very easily. Mazzola, and his hands out. Take another look at it here. Didn't need to come for it, Mazzola. He had help up the near post, but once you've made that decision as a keeper, you've got to go with it. And unfortunately for Mazzola, unless he somehow stops this, that one could cost him and his team 3 points.
Keziah Sterling looking for his first goal in his second year in USL League One with Tormenta. Became a playoff legend last year for the side. Sterling, and he finishes it with ease. Goal number 1 on the year for the number 9. And it is all locked up at 1 apiece. He does it so calmly.
Yeah, Mazzola was already committed to his right, and Keziah waited for him to make his move and then just rolled it into the opposite corner. I say the corner, the opposite side of the goal where Mazzola was. Frustrating. A draw, I think, would be a fair result in this game, Mark, but Greenville certainly had 3 points in their sight. Now perhaps have seen it slip away.
See what these two teams do for the rest of this game. This period of the match brought to you by ScanSource, accelerating growth for partners and calling Greenville home for 30 years. Second half goal for both sides. As this level, we're nearing the ending moments of this game. It certainly changes the importance of the substitutes that were made for these two sides. Jacob Lavovitz coming into the game may now be more of an important change for John Harkes if his side is going to look to pursue 3 points here. these sides can come out and find 3 points. They both had to scrape and claw to start this year. John Harkes talked about how much his team has gone through this year. New players, a lot of new players, a new stadium with football lines that they barely get to work on, long open cup trip. Then they go to Tormenta, and it's a heavy rainstorm there. A 4-1 loss on the road to Madison, which included that crazy penalty save to goal situation. He said it could be easy to hang your head, but we stepped back and self-analyzed without getting negative. He mentioned just how well his team has been able to bounce back after negative results or after going down in a game. We've had some tough losses, including that loss to Knoxville. Turn around and played their hearts out at Omaha. That's what I said to him, is if there's one thing that anyone who watched Greenville can't deny, it's the grit that this team has shown early in this season. Tormenta, very similarly, have had to fight through some poor results and bounce back and get in the win column.
Final in Richmond, a 1-0 win over Chattanooga. Well, Chattanooga just one shot on target.
That's that Richmond defense, man.
5th clean sheet for the Kickers. 3 games undefeated, Darren Sawatsky's men.
Schultz jumps on that pass. Gavilanes sends Labovitz running, but he was certainly offside in that moment. So we hit 90 full minutes. Wait to get the signal from our 4th official.
The 4th official has indicated 8 minutes.
And it's going to be 8 minutes of stoppage time, brought to you by Engineered Sleep, the best handmade mattresses in town. Visit engineeredsleep.com for better sleep. Murphy just too far ahead of his man. But perhaps it could have been reached by Pedro Fonseca.
Be a 3rd draw in 4 games for Greenville. Will come in very different fashions. Had the 2-0 lead against Richmond. Obviously came back from the 2-0 deficit. 2-goal deficit, I should say, against Omaha. And then this one tonight.
Sterling cuts to his left. Keziah Sterling plays it out. Amo drags it to goal. Mazzola is able to collect it.
It's a huge boot from his eyes. Does have a huge foot on him.
Both these teams looking to string together some wins.
Oh, wow. Ian Cameron's just been sent to the stands. You can't believe it. Can he interfere with the quick throw? That's the only thing I can think. Not sure if that's a red card worthy. You can see his reaction.
He's flabbergasted. That's going to take him out of their next game, though.
Well. Just when you thought you've seen it all.
Ian Cameron sent off in added time here. So for that home game against Lexington next week, as he chirps to the Reedy River Riot.
I'm sure it was some good-natured banter.
Yeah, he will not be on the sideline for that home match against Lexington next week. He's talked about how important it is to find that home form, and with 5 of 7 coming up at home, he mentioned they need to string together some wins, though he did mention that it's nice how tight USL League One is. You get back-to-back wins and suddenly you catapult up the standings. This one gets lofted back into play. got some more contact here. A yellow card issued to Devin Boyce.
That's his second mark. The stats don't say he got one in the first half, but I thought he did. There was a tweet that went out by Greenville saying he did get a card in the first half, and that is 2 for Devin Boyce. Well, this one's certainly not limping to the finish mark.
No. So now we've had just 2 ejections in mere moments of each other. I just received word from those on site saying that the reason Ian Cameron was given the straight red was for throwing that ball beyond and making it more difficult for the throwing to take place. Interfering with the flow of play there. So that's why Ian Cameron was sent off. And then Devin Boyce getting his second yellow, earning his ejection of the game. So here's the Boyce foul. Oh, it's got the tail end of it. So Tormenta playing with a man advantage. It's also the first red card of the year for a player on the Greenville Triumph. And that whittles the number down now to just 3 teams left in League One that have not been given a red card this season, that is. It's been a strange game, Ross. Even before what just happened.
Strange game between these two now. Never. There certainly hasn't been a ton of scoring chances, right? Ton of quality scoring chances. What's the XG looking like at the moment? Let's see. 1.5 for Tormenta, 1.15. There has been a lot of shots on target. We've had that great save in the first half from Mazzola. Bush had that one, almost went top corner in the first half. But other than that, neither keeper has had to make any superb saves. Final in Lexington, 2-2 between Lexington and Northern Colorado. Is that a good point for Northern Colorado or a good point for Lexington? Or both?
I think you can say both.
Bit of both, I think.
I mean, the mantra is always, if you can win at home and draw on the road, then you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And for Lexington going up against a talented Northern Colorado side, and you found yourself down a goal 2 separate occasions. Of course, sometimes you gotta get the eye test to really get a good gist of how both teams could feel. This service comes in. What a save by Mazzola. It's still being hacked around. Whether that was instinct, placement, or something else, Mazzola keeps that one from going in. Used his leg to get the job done.
Mazzola with a mistake perhaps on the penalty, but second big save of this game. Try and redeem himself.
So big moment there for Tormenta to take the advantage. Mazzola was able to disrupt it. Murphy takes this one forward. Fonseca wants to put his laces through it, and that one was a nautical mile away from goal.
It's one over the hedge. Or into the hedge at least. You see those Greenville try and play. I assume the football team comes down that hill between the hedges, Market. But
perhaps.
Furman, I think we should have Greenville come down there, run down there at some point in the season. Try and change their fortunes here at home. Huge boot again from Mazzola.
Good touch there to clear it away for Tormenta. Now we are at the 8 minutes, but again, we also had 2 red cards get issued. Sit stoppage time.
Certainly going to have at least 1 or 2 minutes added on here at the death. See if Tormenta can make that extra man pay.
Dangler out wide for Amo. He's looking to beat Schultz, but was incapable of doing so. That clearance is lackluster, though.
That's being kind, Mark.
Fonseca to Murphy. Dangler out to Mason. Some space for Sterling, and he couldn't get it by Wu. Now Gavilanes will track it down. And he was able to get the deflection there to win a throw-in for Greenville. And the ref's going to call it off here. So a 1-1 draw between rivals in USL League One. Tormenta and Greenville locked up at 1 apiece. And at 1 red card apiece, Ross Davenport. Certainly an interesting 90-plus minutes between these two sides.
Yeah, the game had its moments, Mark, that was for sure. There wasn't much consistent great football, but certainly had its moments, and I think a fair result in the end.
As the fans start to make their way out, we're not done yet here on the broadcast on ESPN+. Let's take a look at some of our post-game festivities here as we prepare to show you our adjustment of the match here on the ESPN+ broadcast. So, we'll look back at Greenville's goal for the adjustment of the match presented by Upstate Spine and Sport.
Keep an eye on Cassie here. What's the adjustment? He sees the ball's going a little further back towards the back post, goes backwards and heads it back into the far corner. That's your adjustment of the match.
Wonderful cross, and well done by Castro to give Greenville the lead, give his 4th goal of the season. And there he is, walking off. Wouldn't end up being the game winner, as a Keziah Sterling penalty would level things up between Tormenta and Greenville. We're going to step aside briefly, but we got some post-game content coming your way on the other side on ESPN+.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location?
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
Whenever the Greenville Tramps score not 1, but 2 goals during any home game, fans score big with 10% off on all fresh, scratch-made food at Habitat. Just grab a table, show your game day ticket while wearing your Triumph gear. Don't forget, you can always come cheer on the team while watching the away games during our watch parties. Habitat, proud sponsor of the Greenville Triumph.
A goal apiece, a point apiece for Greenville Triumph and South Georgia Tormenta here on ESPN+ in their second matchup of the season. Mark Schoenster, Ross Davenport here with you. We see the huddle breaking for John Harks' side as his team were unable to hang on to get 3 points, but they could still walk away with some positives. Here's the GSP International Airport highlights, high-flying plays of the match. Now, boys. First off, we get the goal from Leo Castro, which would put Greenville up 1-0. A lot of shots, a lot of chances created in this game, Ross. Couldn't find the back of the net in the first half, but right here, I mean, 2 quality pieces of work from Gavilanes and Castro, respectively.
No, Gavilanes with that magical left foot, and Castro with that useful head of late. Second straight goal with a header goal, and this was just a little clumsy from Mazzola. Tormenta player went down very easily, but Mazzola just didn't need to come for that ball. The player was going away from goal. He had help at the post, and Isaiah Sterling would slot this one away with ease.
Sterling just getting Mazzola to feint to his right, and that was enough for Sterling to roll this one in. A strolling finish from the striker, his first goal of this new season. Still new for him, just his third appearance of the year. And then the second yellow card for Devin Boyce. This would take place after the straight red given to Ian Cameron. It would be 2 red cards issued in the span of moments. And we see there, Boyce just crashing in on his man.
Just a little reckless from Devin. Just came in with a little too much pace, and with that, we had the yellow card already from the first half. That will result in him missing the next match.
Here are your full-time match stats brought to you by Coca-Cola. Lots of shots, many on target. The possession disparity, it started off heavily in Tormenta's favor early in the game, and it sort of just stayed that way throughout the majority of the match.
Yeah, Greenville did come back into it, as you mentioned, after that super fast start from Tormenta, but points shared here in Greenville. I don't think either team will be too disappointed with it. 2 teams that obviously played a ton in USL League One history, and Greenville will just be happy that they didn't lose, I think, but the 3 points thrown away perhaps a little bit at the end there.
I think both teams will be able to look at this match and think, man, we could have gotten the victory, we could have gotten the win.
That's really the story of this one, yes.
But the fact of the matter is they will split it and share it, and that is what is most fair in this matchup. With that in mind, Greenville will be playing host to Omaha next weekend. Meanwhile, Tormenta will similarly be going home to host Lexington. But for tonight's broadcast and our broadcasting crew, including Ross Davenport, I'm Mark Schoenstert saying thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and we hope you all have a fantastic night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.
Amo reaches a defender. Amo reaches a defender. Became a play.